Greetings children, welcome back to the biology class. Today we are going to learn the third part of improvement in food production lesson. Already in this lesson I taught you about green revolution and also about major steps in plant breeding. In today's class we are going to learn about methods of crop improvement. In methods of crop improvement, I guess you remember the word crop improvement. Crop improvement has been done as a part of plant breeding technique. While we are in need to raise a quality of a crop at genetic level, we will be going with crop improvement. In today's class, we are going to learn about the methods of crop improvement. What are the basic methods of crop improvement? So, crop improvement can be done by two major steps. One is selection procedure and the second one is hybridization procedure. So first, selection procedure. Selection means we are going to select which crop has to be improved or as what it has to be improved. So this is what the selection procedure talks about. So in selection procedure, we are purely depending on anthropogenic process, that is manually we are going to select a crop, because basically we are selecting only on the basis of the phenotype of the crop. For example, like if you look at a crop, if like we are going to select the wheat crop for crop improvement, the one which will we select be showing the maximum amount of seed producing variety, right? So when corn is being practiced, a corn is being we need to cultivate a corn plant. If we are going to select a corn parent plant for the next generation or for crop improvement, we'll be selecting a corn plant which will be producing a huge sized corn. Huge sized corn will be selected for the crop improvement method, right? So this is purely based on the phenotypic selection. We are selecting the crop based on their phenotypic character, right? So that's very important. Selection is basically being done by the phenotypic character. So we are going to check it, we are going to do that manually. We are going to check the external features, the physical features of the plant, and then we will be selecting that. Think about the cabbage, think about the fruit producing plant. So by checking the quality, the quantity of the size of the fruit, or the quantity of the fruit, how it's being surviving in that drought condition, so everything by the physical appearance we are selecting the parent plant. And how this selection can be done, we are simply saying that in one single sentence, but how it's been done. Basically there are three different methods to select a parent plant for crop improvement or select a plant for crop improvement. The first one is mass selection. So in mass selection, like in case you are going into Tanjavur, you are going to plant paddy, and you are going to Tanjavur for the selection of a very good variety of paddy, right? While you go to Tanjavur, you could see that it's completely of paddy field, right? And this paddy field will be like segments of paddy field will be owned by different people, and maybe they are practicing different varieties of paddy, right? So in that you're manually taking a list, the farmer whose segment of land is producing good quantity of rice in all aspects, like quality of the rice or quantity of the rice, in all aspects, who is producing a very good yield, right? So that segment of land can be your selected land, and from that land area you can collect some seeds, and that will be your selected seed, right? So this is mass selection. You're going to select from one mass area or from one mass plantation. You're going to select your seeds, you're going to select your organisms for the next generation, or you're going to select your parental crop, right? So that is mass selection. You're selecting as a mass. The next type is pure line selection. This word pure line, you remember that you have studied about this in genetics, right? So pure line selection means for nearly some 2-3 generation, minimum 2-3 generation, this organisms has to be self fertilized. That means they have to be progeny, they should be a progeny of self-pollination. So for nearly few generation, nearly some 3-4 generation or 3 generation, it has to be self-pollinated, and you are selecting a parent organism, or your selected organism, selected plant has to be from a pure line, right? So that is pure line selection. Why do we do this pure line selection? Is we are avoiding this heterozygosity. When we are doing self pollination, the lesser genotypic variation, gene variation would be eliminated, and the one which is stabilized, or the maximum genetic content, would be enhanced, and the lesser one or the recessive characters would be eliminated. This is the main reason why we are doing pure line selection. Okay, but in mass selection you can't expect that. Mass selection, we are going to do that in a mass, in a whole bunch we are selecting. For example, like in school, if in case like we are talking about in school level, for one particular program, or for one particular thing, that this class students will be doing dance in a better way, so this entire class can be selected. Maybe in that class, out of 30 or 25 students, maybe some 5 or 6 may not be performing well, but the rest would do well, right? So the same sort, some disadvantages may be there in mass selection method. But in pure line selection, it's not like that. All the necessary characters or desirable characters would be enhanced by doing pure line selection method. And the next kind of selection method is clonal selection method. Clonal selection, from the word, it is from the word clone. Clone means an organism which is produced from one single parent, right? So we are interested with one particular parent. Generally we will be doing clonal selection for vegetative propagative structures, where the plants where we depend on vegetative propagative structures. For example, like sugarcane we can depend on. For most of the horticultural crops like roses we can depend on. Tapioca we can depend on, tapioca or cassava. So in this cases, like one parent plant is producing a very good yield. Like in one sugarcane, if it is producing too much of sugary stem, then we can cut the remaining stem and we can grow that into patch. So there is clonal selection. One parent plant is selected, and which is developed into one race, or one huge selection. We are doing that based on that particular one single parent organism. So that is clonal selection. So clonal selection is generally being done with plants which are doing vegetative propagation, right? So this is what the kind of selection. And the next important thing is about hybridization. So that is the second step, that is the very important step in crop improvement method. Hybridization is the one by which the real crop improvement is being done. So in hybridization, there are so many steps. We need to learn almost all the steps. So the first step is about selection of parents, right? So the selection of parents can be done by any one of this previously discussed thing. Like it can be done by clonal selection, or mass selection, or by pure line selection. Mostly, as I said just now, selection is being done by the phenotypic analysis, right? So that is how selection is being done. And the second one is about selfing of parents. So second step is about selfing of parents. This is again, as I said now, this is again for the lessening of, or the removal of low heterozygosity. That means the recessive characters has to be expelled out of the organism. So that's why selfing of parents has to be done. This is for making a pure line of the parent organism, pure line of the progeny, which can be hybridized. And then from third step, it's very important. Third step is emasculation. Generally, sometimes in farmers and all, they will be doing hybridization. That time, during that time, they will be doing hybridization from emasculation. They won't be concentrating too much on selfing of parents. Mostly they will be selecting parents. That they will do. Selection of parents has to be done, because then only we can improve the crop, right? So like for example, like if you are planning to raise a new rose, and then you are selecting an yellow rose and a white rose. So there comes the selection process. What are the two different plants we are going to develop a hybrid of? So that is selection of parents. And then the next important step is about emasculation. Selfing of parents is being done generally by the known people, like for example, like an agriculturalist or a floriculturalist, the scientist, when they are doing their research work, they will be doing selection of selfing of parents, they will be including. And the third step is emasculation, and there comes the definition of emasculation is the removal of male part or male reproductive part from a flower which we are going to use as a female part. Okay, you need to understand that emasculation is a word from two words, that is masculinity, emasculation, so that is removal of male part. We are going to do hybridization, so for that one plant will be considered as a female part and the another flower will be considered as a male part, right? That's how we need to do hybridization. We are going to mix two different plants. That is what hybridization generally talks about. So when you are going to consider one plant as a male one and one plant as a female one, from the female plant they will be removing the anther completely. Okay, before that anther get matured, they will be removing the anther part completely. That is what emasculation talks about. So emasculation is the third step or the important step in hybridization process. It is the removal of stamen from female parent before the anther get matured or before the anther releases its pollen grain. So that is what emasculation. And how to do this emasculation? This is just imagine about that, how to do this emasculation. Generally emasculation can be done by using a scalpel or by using a scissor or a forceps. They will pluck off that, they will just simply they will pluck it off, or else they will cut it off. Sometimes apart from this, like this can be done in large flowers. This kind of emasculation can be done in larger flowers. Sometimes in cereals, have you ever seen the flour of rice or wheat cereals? Most of the cereals, the flowers will be so small, right? They will be like so small, so inconspicuous. So in that kind, you can't do that by using a scissor or by using a forceps. You can't remove that because they are so small already, and the flowers are so small. Inside the flower, smaller flower, you have to find out the stamen. So that is highly completely a very troublesome one. So in those cases, what they generally do is they will be treating the flower with hot water or cold water and alcohol treatment. It's like they will be subjecting the flower. They won't get the flower from the plant, but they will be immersing this flower in hot water, or with the help of a brush, hot water drops will be added on top of the flower, or very cold water can be added on top of the flower which is just about to bloom, so that they can kill the anther, or so that they can completely wash off the anther before that get matured, right? So that is emasculation procedure. And another one more procedure of emasculation which is nowadays being used is they will be selecting male sterile plant. Male sterile plant means in that kind of particular plants, male part or the stamen will not be developing by genetically. Male development is being stopped. So what happened in that particular flower is only the female part will be developing, not the male one. They will be producing staminate flowers. So these are the three different kinds of emasculation procedure. So emasculation can be done by removal of the anther by using forceps or scalpel or by scissor, or they can remove the anther by using hot water or cold water and alcohol treatment. By using any one of this liquid, they can remove the anther before that get matured. And the third method of emasculation is by using male sterile plant. Okay, so that is emasculation. What is the definition of emasculation? Removal of male sex part from a flower, from a female part of a plant, or like female parent plant, for a hybridization procedure, right? So that is emasculation. And then the next process, or the fourth one of hybridization, fourth step of hybridization procedure is bagging. This bagging means after emasculation, the female flower will be bagged up. It will be covered by using a plastic wrapper, or by using cellophane paper, or sometimes they will be using just a very normal cloth, a little bit thicker cloth. or sometimes even a very normal paper can also be used. So they will be covering that female flower, the stigma part, and this technique is known as bagging. And why do we do bagging is bagging will prevent the accidental fall of the stamen onto the stigma, so that we can stop the accidental fertilization, or we can stop the accidental pollination which we are not planned for. So that is bagging technique. And when we are doing bagging, immediately the next step what we need to do is labeling has also be done, or tagging has also be done. Tagging is not included in this hybridization procedure, but it has to be done. When bagging is done, the next thing which we need to do is tagging. Okay, tagging means a tag has to be added. What is a tag? In that tag we need to write about the date of pollination and the female plant and the male plant, like in case like in rose, as I said just before as an example, red rose if it is treated as a female, red rose is female, and white rose if it is treated as male, then male is white rose. So we have to write the kind of plant what we chose for hybridization too. Okay, that is like if it is wheat, this is a semi-dwarf one, this is a wild one. So those kind of categorization you have to write. So that is bagging and tagging. And the next one is crossing. So this crossing is for cross pollination. Actually first we have done emasculation procedure, and I said that emasculation procedure has to be done before the stamen gets matured, and then we need to immediately do the bagging technique, and then we have to do the crossing technique. What is the time gap generally between a bagging and crossing technique? Would be nearly some 7 to 8 hours, sometimes up to 12 hours. So when we are doing this bagging at night in one day, the next day morning after 6 or after 7 generally crossing will be done, because morning time the stigma will become very receptive in most of the flowers. Maybe if you were in my class during 9th standard, I would have said that to you. Generally the flowers which have colorful petals will be very receptive in the morning time, and the flowers which possess white petals or white corolla generally will be very receptive in the night time. Okay, so based on the kind of plant, the crossing will be done, and the bagging and crossing, the time gap has to be minimum 8 hours. Okay, so that means emasculation has to be done before a day, and then bagging will be done, and then crossing will be done in the next day. Okay, so that is what crossing. How do? They used to get the pollen from one flower what is being selected as a male plant, and then they will be dumping onto the emasculated female flower, and again they have to bag it. Okay, so that is what crossing. And then the last step of hybridization is raising of F1 progeny. This is raising of F1 progeny. F1 progeny means first filial generation progeny. So after crossing, after the pollen has been dumped on, after cross pollination, the seeds will be produced. That seeds will be collected, and that seeds will be harvested, and it will be allowed to generate, it will be allowed to produce its own young one. So that is raising of F1 progeny at the time when it will be active. Sometimes seed dormancy would be there in some of the plants. Seeds may not grow, and the very common hybridization technique will be done with rose. So in rose, when they are doing the seeds, when they are collecting the seeds, immediately they won't make it grow. What they will be doing is they will be collecting the seeds in a wet damp cloth, and they will be keeping it in fridge nearly for 1 week or some 15 days. They will keep it in fridge, and then they will sow it. Or if it is in a greenhouse, if in western countries, if the climate is so good, they will sow it immediately in the soil, or else we have to keep it in fridge for some time, like nearly some from 1 week to 15 days. You have to, like 1 to 2 week we have to keep it in fridge to make the humidity conditions okay or enough for the seeds to overcome their dormancy period. Right, so that is what some basic steps which we need to go with of raising of F1 progeny. So this is how hybridization technique is being done. So by this hybridization, what we are going to get is a crop which is a little bit improved than the previous one. So why do we learn about this is we are learning about methods of crop improvement, isn't it? So how do the crop is being improved? So by doing any of these steps we are doing this hybridization technique. And in hybridization, how or what sort of hybridization is possible? Now you need to think about this. Hybridization is generally between two different organisms, and these two different organisms can be from same variety. As I said about rose, like you can go with a rose, a pink rose with another pink rose, you can do hybridization. A pink rose of high thick corolla and a pink rose of very less corolla type. These two can be hybridized so that you can get one better hybridized variety. So this intra variety hybridization can also be done, right? It will be mixing up the genes. Or else you can practice intervarietal hybridization. A pink rose can be crossed with a white rose, or a red rose can be crossed with an yellow rose. So intervariety hybridization can also be done. Next, interspecific hybridization can also be done. Generally in plants, interspecific hybridization when they belongs to same genus. For example, like in potato and tomato, they both belongs to the same genus. Oh no, I'm sorry, they belongs to the same family. Like intergeneric only you can say that as an example. Interspecific means the best known example for interspecific is let me go with a known example, the Zenki formation, like Zenki formation or Liger formation, that is zebra and donkey, or even the mule formation, like the donkey and horse. So those things are interspecific hybridization. Let me get the plant example later, I'll tell you that. And intergeneric hybridization is between two different genuses, hybridization between two different genus. So these are few example. And one more very important type of hybridization is introgressive hybridization. Introgressive hybridization talks about because of hybridization, some of the species may completely get evacuated from the world. Like this is what generally happen naturally. Natural kind of hybridization is introgressive hybridization, because we don't know the ancestral wild variety of maize now. Okay, so this the main reason for this is maize got hybridized by some new organisms. So the wild variety, or the one which was considered as an ancestor, was not known. It is not clear. Maize is completely like a new organism. It's like a new hybridized variety. So this is introgressive hybridization. What happens to the wild ancestor variety of maize, the real maize, is introgressive hybridization, because it completely evacuated because of the environmental changes. One organism is completely being evacuated from the world. So that is introgressive hybridization, right? That has been replaced by another one. So that is introgressive hybridization. So these are the different types of hybridization. That's not in your syllabus, but still you need to read that. As it is not in your syllabus, I didn't include that in the slide, but still you have to read that. So now these methods of crop improvement you have to learn. So your homework today is you have to read only the methods of crop improvement. That is the only topic that I took today. Methods of crop improvement, that is selection and hybridization techniques, you have to go through. Just read everything and send me the notes. I'm repeating that. Send me the notes before 5. Okay, so sending the notes to me is compulsory, and I'll give you the revision part now. For your revision, you need to go with ecosystem completely. That is for your revision. And I hope you are doing your revision proper on time. Complete this lesson, as you can view the videos what have been uploaded in the previous days. I'm not adding any other videos for revision. Please go through the previous videos of ecosystem lesson which is available, and complete your work on time. Thank you, kids. Stay safe at home. Thank you.